If you want to get promoted to director, you need to stop managing your boss and start managing the entire leadership team above you. After coaching over 200 senior leaders across 150 plus Fortune 500 companies, I've seen that the managers who get promoted the fastest aren't the best at their jobs. Rather, they're the best at strategic visibility. Just last year, I had a client, a product manager at a global tech company, who came to me completely burned out. He was working all hours, his team performance was stellar, and his boss constantly praised his work. But he'd been stuck in the same position for 2 years while watching colleagues get promoted around him. What I discovered was that he was managing up to only one person when he needed to be managing up to five. So in this video, I'll show you the 3 strategic shifts that turn senior managers into director level candidates by managing up to the leadership system, not just your boss. Strategy number 1, you have got to own your own strategic narrative, not just give updates. You're taking charge of what your manager knows about your work. And there's a lot of advantages to that. Number 1, you can position your message so that your work stands out and you get credit for what you actually did and what you want them to know that you did. You don't leave it to chance so that somebody else gets the credit for your work. You're going to avoid being surprised with sudden requests for updates in meetings because you're going to already have updated them, right? You're going to be strategic with those updates too. You're not just going to blather on about everything that you've done. You're going to convey what they care about. That's what's important. And those are the things, by the way, that are going to come up in those meetings. This builds confidence in your work. It's kind of like, you remember back in high school, way back in high school, when you did only half the assignment and you did not want to be called for the second half because you didn't know anything about it. You'd raise your hand like 5 times at the beginning of the class for everything that you knew, so that by that time the teacher was sick of calling on you and they were going to call on somebody else. So that's what I mean. You got to kind of be strategic about this. This also frees up your one-on-one time from tactical updates to be able to focus on like strategy and career strategy. Your career conversations are super important. And I can't tell you how many people I coach that say, yeah, I worked up the courage, I had a plan, I got with my manager one-on-one, and by the time we were done with their agenda and all of the updates, there was no time left for the conversation I really wanted to have. This creates more opportunities for you in terms of, what are you aiming for? And will you have your manager's help on what you're aiming for? So, yeah, be strategic with your narrative. Before I continue with the next 2 strategic shifts, if you're a senior manager who's been working hard but feeling stuck, and you want my help creating your personalized stakeholder map and promotion strategy using the exact approach I use with my Fortune 500 clients, I'm offering a free strategy call this week. Click the first link in the description to book yours. But that said, let's get back to the video. So strategy number 2, build your stakeholder map. This is not just about your relationship with your boss. You need allies up at the top. You need to look up and out and figure out who would be your critical allies for promotion when you're not in the room, right? With my stakeholder mapping tool, what we do is we brainstorm first anybody and everybody that could possibly be in that room for that conversation and the people that influence them. And we literally map out who it is that you're going to focus on. You need strong allies who know you well, who enjoy working with you and have seen your ideas. So these allies can second your manager's recommendation. Make it easy for them, right? They're in there saying, yes, you're worth promoting, but they need to have 2 or 3 other people agree with them on that. So make it easy for them. So maybe you've seen this testimonial already. I don't know, but if you haven't, check it out. So my client, Innie, had a misalignment issue. He was shouting at the top of his lungs about user experience improvements that didn't actually align with the company's strategy. And that misalignment kept him stuck for a couple of years. The bottom line is you've got to align your goals with your company's stated strategy and not just make functional improvements. So if what you're doing isn't leading up to what they want to do, it's kind of a waste of time. So, more is not always better, and you can burn yourself out that way. So, main strategy number three, navigate the leadership chain. And by this, I mean respect the chain of command. Never go around your boss. Keep them in the loop on any kind of skip level interactions. So when you're interacting with their peers, it matters what you say, and it matters that they are in the loop, right? They don't want you going around them, or even worse, up to their boss, right? Like, you don't want to go around to their boss directly without them being in on it, right? Make them part of this. So here's a cautionary tale. I had a client who, believe it or not, badmouthed the manager to a skip level, and he ended up in HR. So think of skip levels as mentors. Understand their broader vision and their challenges, right? And never badmouth your manager to anyone, let alone a skip level. I mean, fortunate for me, that's where we ended up working together, and we were able to not only overcome that, but land several jobs after that. So that's really great. And he learned a lesson, right? But when you talk to people above your manager, you want to understand what the broader vision is and what their challenges are, right? That way they want to engage with you. They get something out of it. And if it's a situation where you've got several stakeholders, right? And maybe several stakeholders above your manager that you're interacting with frequently, and you're under a lot of pressure, you don't know who to prioritize. I have a great tool. It's called the capacity spreadsheet that I created with a client who was director of operations and had that exact situation. He had like five different stakeholders, and his entire team, his department, was burning out. They were redlining. Um, but what this did, this kind of information up to his manager, allowed his manager to negotiate on his behalf. So presenting data showing which projects would fail and how his team is redlining was critical in managing all of that. And he was able to get more resources after that when people started to understand what he was up against. So networking above is especially difficult in remote or hybrid situations. You really have to try to increase the time that you overlap when it's possible, like in person is what I'm talking about, because proximity has a lot of influence to it. And if you're constantly somewhere else, um, it's going to be much more difficult for you to influence above your manager because you're not really in regular one-on-ones with them. So you got to figure that out. So there you have it, the three strategic shifts that separate senior managers who stay stuck from those who advance to director level. It's owning your narrative, building your stakeholder map, and navigating the entire leadership chain. Now you have two options. You can take everything I've shown you in this video and try to figure out your stakeholder mapping and strategic positioning yourself, which is possible. Or you can click the first link in the description, book a free strategy call with me, and we'll decode exactly what's blocking your advancement. We'll design your personalized promotion roadmap using the same frameworks I use with my Fortune 500 clients. And we'll create a deployment strategy that positions you for your next level.